I grew up on Long Island outside New York, went to the University of Virginia, and then also Harvard Business School. And when I got out of Harvard Business School, I went to work for H.J. Heinz in consumer marketing in Pittsburgh. After working at Heinz, I moved back to New York to work for Pepsi-Cola in charge of new product marketing. Turned out to be a great background for both cable TV and for the cellular phone business. After I left Pepsi, I went to work for United Cable out in Colorado, and then came back to Providence to run the Providence Journal's cable TV company. After I'd been doing that for several years, they asked me to also run their cellular telephone division, which was about 1986. We did a lot of research at the Providence Journal, and I could see that even though there were only 1 million customers in the United States in 1987, that they were the right 1 million people. They were the people who would be the early adopters. So I could see that things were going to change over time. The dilemma was that all of the big cities had already been awarded to big companies, to the telephone companies and to AT&T and the Providence Journal. So if we were going to develop an opportunity, it had to be in the secondary markets.
I first met Charlie more than 30 years ago when he worked for the Providence Journal. And very quickly, Charlie decided, rather than working on the corporate side, that Charlie could be an entrepreneur and do extraordinarily well in the wireless community.
Hagerstown was our first market. It's the perfect background for what our company was doing, because Bell Atlantic, which was one of the Bell operating companies, had actually been given the Hagerstown, Maryland license for free. Hagerstown is about 50 or 60 miles west of Washington, D.C. and Baltimore. Bell Atlantic thought that there was so little potential in these small secondary markets, they literally gave the license back to the FCC. What we had estimated that they hadn't was, first of all, that the demographics of the customers was going to change. Number two, that the equipment prices were going to drop fairly dramatically in the next 5 to 10 years. And number three, roaming. Roaming turned out to be the lifeblood of small carriers for the first 5 years. And it's because they did have few customers at 125,000 population. At the end of the first year, we had 200 customers, but we had 2,000 roaming customers. And who were those people? They were all Bell Atlantic's customers in Washington and Baltimore, traveling out of town to the west or north. And we had I-80 and I-81 crisscrossing right in the middle of Hagerstown. So our company actually became profitable within 18 months. I think my most significant accomplishment was building Atlantic Cellular for a number of good reasons. Number one, we were able to provide jobs for 200 people in the state of Vermont and New Hampshire that wouldn't have been working in the wireless business if it hadn't been for us. Number two, we were able to provide a communications tool to businesses and consumers that allowed them to be significantly more productive with their time, because they spent a lot of time in vehicles, and this allowed them to use their phones inside their cars while they were driving around. And number three, we literally saved tens, if not hundreds of lives in emergency situations, people who would not be with us today if our cellular network didn't exist.
I just think the world of this guy, and I got to tell you, he's had a remarkable professional life. I think everyone who is attending a dinner honoring Charlie would understand all of his successes.
Charlie continues to be a leader in the wireless community. He continues to fight through auctions year in and year out, aggregating spectrum and bringing broadband and other communication services all across our country.
Atlantic Cellular is certainly one of the successes in life, and without a doubt it is. But how he refers to it is, to me, quite interesting. He didn't say in a conversation I had with him, my employees. He said, my fellow employees. And I think that speaks volumes He's just a good guy and so deserving of this award. It's just as simple as that.